Hello and welcome to Reality Check. It's Wednesday. It's 3 o'clock. You know what that means. It's time for myself, Matt O'Leary, and Jeremy Jets Chaos to do another hour of Jets talk. I'm excited for this one because, Jeremy, the last time I saw you, the Jets were still winless, and now I am seeing you and the Jets have their first win. How you doing?
Things have changed since the last time we've been live, Matt O'Leary. Suddenly, we're not a big fat zero. I mean, it's hard to not have a win. You know, I almost feel like maybe it was the Knicks winning before them.
Okay. That was the thing that turned it around.
Yeah, maybe the fact that maybe somebody mentioned that in the locker room and that actually woke them up and said, yeah, that is kind of messed up. No, I think that there are certain teams, you know, it feels like, you know, the Houston Texans feels like a team we got their number. And now the Cincinnati Bengals. It's the second time in the last few years that I feel like we've pulled off a win against these guys. So I don't know what it is, man, but something just clicked right, and we were able to win. Maybe, you know, we needed a team that had a very big weakness, like their defense they have a terrible defense. So, you know, when you have a glaring weakness, even if we have a glaring weakness, it kind of evens the game. Like maybe Cincinnati is capable of losing to anyone based on that.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think that's what we're going to spend most of this show doing today and interacting with you guys in the chat. It's what we love about doing this stream every week. But, you know, the Jets had their first win. They were 0-7 when they got the win. And, you know, naturally, Jet fans are kind of going back and forth. You have like one section who's, you know, really happy that they won a game, happy for the coaching staff. And then another side, it's like it's a meaningless win. You hurt your draft positioning. They dropped Jeremy all the way from the number 1 pick to the number 2 pick with this loss. It's a big fall in the rankings right now. We'll take a look at all that. But I guess we'll start here. Where do you stand? Were you happy with the win? What were some of your takeaways just from the game in general? And what do you think it means for this team going forward?
Okay, so, and we'll talk about like the tank debate, of course. But what I take away from the win is, first of all, Membo is a special football player. So let's just check that box. Some people were saying, "Oh, the Cincinnati defense sucks," though. That has nothing to do with the fact that he's going up against NFL edge, you know, people who are like in the NFL, and not just like holding his own. I mean, I watched them all 22 film. I put some of it on Twitter or X, where he is not only stonewalling the defender, but then he starts to push him backwards to create this open pocket. Joe Tippmann had a lot of great playing, a lot of great plays, a lot of great reps for Joe Tippmann. Really like to see that. And as you know, there's a strong possibility he's going to be a future guard for this team, not center. So we have to see how that plays out. But I really like to see him playing the position well, and he did. And then Olu took a nice step up. So, you know, I'm looking at the parts of the team that are really important to our future. And offensive line is the thing we're supposed to have, right? I mean, moving forward as we build this team, that we have some continuity and we have some good players. Watching Olu play well is always a good thing. He's still in his first, I think, 16 starts of his career. So, you know, like we're hoping that he trends up and he's developing into a great player. Membo, and this happens sometimes, just was just more NFL ready than Olu. He came in at a much higher level. Obviously, he's playing at a much higher level, but it's great, right? I don't care which one's better. You know, let them both just become bookend franchise, all, you know, tackles that we don't have to worry about it for years to come. So These were all good takeaways for me. I still think our defensive tackles, the guys we got via trade, are doing really well. So I like to see that because we have them around for a while. I like that we have this new guy, Brownlee, around for a while. I think even though he got beat on a bad play, I think
Yep.
Thomas is going to be a very good cornerback in this league because it was the only play that he got really badly beat on. Otherwise, Hendricks was shut down completely, or Higgins was shut down completely. And even Jamal Chase was controlled. He wasn't stopped, but he was contained. 90 yards, a ton of receptions, but they were small ones, like 12 for 97 yards of reception, no touchdowns. Overall, if you look, 130 yards between the two of them, one touchdown. If you look at what these wide receivers do to other football teams, it wasn't that bad when you consider Sauce Gardner was out. So there were some good things, and then I think there were some continual trends that we're going to have to fix. We need safeties on this team. Thing that I think even in the win, I saw that we still have a glaring need for safeties.
Yeah, I think, when you give up 38 points in a game, there's going to be some issues. And this isn't to completely gloss over the issues that they had in this game against Cincinnati, nor does this one win erase the bad that we saw the first 7 weeks of the year. There are still, legitimate concerns about this roster and this coaching staff. But for me, one, I felt happy for Aaron Glenn to get the first win off his back. Clearly, I mean, the videos in the locker room were awesome. The team still obviously believes in him, and they're rallying around Glenn, which I think is a good sign. But there was, you mentioned the key young players on this team. Neither Membu or Olu allowed a pressure in this game, and I get it. Bengals defense isn't very good, and Hendrickson got hurt at some point during this game. But it wasn't just that. Like, you had Brownlee made the game-winning pass deflection on the final play of the game. And, the Joe Tippmann, who you referenced, another guy who held up really well. Mason Taylor had essentially the game-winning touchdown, right? Like, really big play there. And I think you're seeing some growth from not only the players, but from the coach, right? Like, it was a bold move for Aaron Glenn to go for 2 when he did, and it paid off, immensely. They won the game because of it. If they kick the extra point and, it's tied up, whatever, you don't know, maybe they go down the field and tie it, or we go to overtime. And, that's a coin flip at that point. But, he did the analytic move, which was to go for the 2-point conversion at the time, down 8, and it worked and it paid off for him. So I think, for me, it's not, okay, yeah, everything's fixed. It's, they got their first win. Here's what they did well. And can they now build off of it? And can we see more of this over the final 9 games?
I agree. And even in the, with the defense giving up 38 points, I want to say this. And I was saying the whole game how frustrating it was that we can't have complementary football. That for 2 games our defense was great and a quarterback couldn't throw the football. And now here we are scoring points and our defense gave up 38. But one thing I want to point out is in like the 10 last minutes of the fourth quarter, if you look at the final 10 points, we were down 14 points, right? And in the final 10 minutes of the game, we won 15-0. So for 10 minutes, when it counted in crunch time, game on the line, a team that did not know how to win culturally, we do not know how to close and win football games, found a way, our defense, to stop them twice, right? We scored a touchdown, stopped them, scored another touchdown, stopped them from even getting a field goal. Okay? 38 points, but when it mattered in crunch time, our defense stepped up, our offense stepped up. We played perfect football for 10 minutes. Weak defense, yeah, Cincinnati has their problems. Joe Flacco, yeah, I get it. But who are we to criticize our opponent? We were 0-7. We're looking for anything. So I don't care how bad the other team is. When you're 0-7, you're looking for any kind of growth. And we saw that. For 10 minutes, we had a beautiful football, right? It's something to build on, especially if we're hoping to get, people saying, who are we going to beat? Who are we going to beat? We got a bunch of games against some really weak opponents. So maybe we get some wins. That's what you build on. And don't forget, we played Tampa really tough. We had the lead with 12 seconds left to go in the game. We lost to Pittsburgh because they kicked a 60-yard field goal and amongst other things. So it's not like we weren't competitive against good football teams as well.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. They lost a lot of one-score games previously before this, and one finally came out on their side. And I like the call out in crunch time that you made because defense came up huge. They got, a 3-and-out, and then they, stopped them on that final drive also. And they did it defensively without arguably their best player in Sauce Gardner, and offensively they did it without Garrett Wilson. So
Yeah.
two building block pieces, right? Your best wide receiver, your best cornerback, not in the game,
and your number 2 wide receiver not in the game,
and your number 2, no Josh Reynolds either. It was
right.
the Isaiah Williams and Tyler Johnson show offensively in the receiving game for most of it. And they found a way. And was it pretty for the full 60? No, they got down big in this game, but they were resilient. They came back and they won a football game. And I just have a really hard time looking at the negative after this game in particular.
Yeah. And as far as the tanking, if people really want to get to this great tank debate, so I want to say, like, the reason that I wanted to talk about tanking today, like, and that debate mostly is to really clarify before we even give our opinions of it. The thing, and I was telling you this, Matt, before the show, I really don't like that Jet fans are turning on each other and deciding to call other fans bad fans for wanting something different than they do. Because technically, I think that it's more than just two things, tank or not tank. Because many fans, as we get towards the end of the year, start to get onto the tank ship at certain points. Like I was saying to you, like right now is 0-7 is very different than if we are 3-12 the last 2 games, right? There's a difference. There's a difference in where we are in the season. And some people, it's not. Some people say never tank. I never want to root for them to lose. And some people will say, as soon as we're 0-6 and we know we're out of it, I want them to lose every game because I want the best player in the draft. We can go over all the arguments and the pros and the cons of both and all of that stuff. But I think the one thing we should never do is think that we get to judge what makes a Jet fan. Like, somebody who wants them to lose every game right now for the rest of the season so we can get Mendoza, if that's who they want, believing that they're going to be the franchise quarterback, that Mendoza is going to take us to the promised land and get us over the top. That's not a fake fan. That's not a bad fan. That's a fan that disagrees with you, right? Like, it's okay that we could disagree on something, but still respect the fact that they're a fan. They're not a bad fan. Their intention is wanting to tank so we can get this great player and have a great future. I get it, because although I personally don't want to see a team tank so early in the season, like, and then lose all the games. I did during the Trevor Lawrence year, once we were 0-13, was rooting for us to lose. Because I knew that the differences, though, I knew the coach was on the way out. Correct. Very different, because AG is a first-year coach. So it's very different scenario. I don't consider myself a bad Jet fan. I'm a diehard. I've been watching the team for over 40 years. Even if you disagree with me and don't care and weren't rooting for Trevor Lawrence, I'm saying let's respect each other. We could debate the differences in our difference of opinion, but let's not call each other bad fans.
Yeah, I think that's totally valid. And like you point out, one of the key differences, because I was with you in 2020, it got to a point where I turned and was like, yeah, like it doesn't matter, because the head coach was going to get fired and, they were likely to move on from the quarterback, and they ended up doing so. And unfortunately it didn't work with Zach Wilson, and Sam Darnold's found success elsewhere in the league. But my question that I was going to toss to you, a rhetorical, because we know the answer, Aaron Glenn's going to be here next year. So to me, there's value in him improving as the season goes on, and that resulting in wins. And to me, that's equally as important as finding the quarterback, which I'm not dismissing the idea that they don't need a quarterback. Of course you need a quarterback in this league to win. But I think those things are equal. And I can't just go, man, I hope they go 0-17 and get the number 1 pick. I would have major concerns about this franchise, whether it's the head coach or the general manager, if this team went 0-17 throughout the entirety of the season. And like, sure, you get, your pick of the litter. You want Mendoza, great, you're able to take him. But do you feel great about the coaching staff he's walking into? Probably not. And like, this still isn't a very good football team. Like, they're likely to end up with a top 5 pick, regardless of if you root for the tank or root for wins. And I just think if they play hard for their coach and, they come out of the bye week and they have a game against Cleveland, and maybe they win that at home. And now that's 2 in a row. And, there's New Orleans on the schedule, and maybe you steal one from a divisional opponent like New England or Miami or Buffalo at the end of the year, and you end up at 4 wins. Then okay, they looked better out of the bye week, and they showed some tangible signs of progress. This year was always about evaluation to me, and it's very, very hard, I think, to get the full evaluation if we're going, all right, let's just lose all these games, because then you can't really evaluate this coaching staff and if they're showing any signs of improvement.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We know AG is going to be the coach next year, like 95%, right? Like, unless something was crazy was to happen. We know also, which is a huge difference, because if he's going to be our coach next year, don't you want to see that he could win games and grow and start to maybe turn it around the second half of this year and make us look a lot better? Isn't that a better scenario for us? And then, even if you don't agree with that, the team that we had that year, that tank year, that were the Trevor Lawrence draft year, we had 4 Jets that mattered, that were part of the future, really, right? And 3 of them didn't even work out. Like Bryce Hall, people were excited about him or thought he had a future, didn't. Mekhi Becton, injury prone, didn't work out. Denzel Mims, great rookie year, didn't work out. We all know the story there, green bean. And then Quinnen Williams. So there was 4 guys and 1 guy that was the contract that we re-signed that is still on this team. This year, though, it's different because it's not just 4 guys. This year, we have 3 guys on our offensive line and 2, maybe bring Simpson back. Maybe, what are we going to do with AVT? This year, we have Breece Hall. Do we trade him? Do we bring him back? We have this young guy, Isaiah Davis. We have Braylon Allen. He's hurt. What are these guys? What's their role, right? This year, we have Garrett Wilson. We have a real WR1 that we've extended this year. We have Sauce Gardner, a real guy. We still have Quinnen Williams on the team. We have AZ Thomas. We have Mason Taylor, right? 2 draft picks that we're developing right now. There's a lot more going on this team, right? So 0-17 means really bad news for us, because it means that these guys didn't get better. Like, nothing came together at all. But if we somehow were to start winning games and get 5 or 6 wins, maybe it's because some of these young guys start to develop and evolve, and that gives us more. That's more important than 1 draft pick that may or may not work out, because those are.
Do we lose him? Jeremy, you were making a really good point, and you froze on me.
Is it can't miss pitches. I can hear you. I'm back. Okay.
You're back. You're back. You froze after saying essentially you were talking about a pick that may or may not work out.
Yeah, so we don't even know that pick's going to work out. I'd rather have the knowledge of this team somehow comes back and manages to win 5 games, maybe 6, maybe that's a stretch. But like, if we were to win 5 or 6 games, people screaming, now we really killed the draft. Yeah, but for 1 draft pick, for a quarterback that has a 50-50 shot of making it, I love Mendoza, but I've loved a lot of quarterbacks, and so have NFL scouts. And guess what? It's never better than 50-50 odds. You just don't know.
No, you really don't. And anyone who says differently is lying to you. Unfortunately, it's a crapshoot in the draft. And I love this comment going back to essentially the beginning when we first started here from Rob, who says Miami tried to tank for Tua, screwed it up, still got him, and now they want to move on from Tua. Right? Go. Like, so that they were supposed to be, that Miami team was supposed to suck. They were supposed to be an abomination. They ended up winning 5 games that year. Still were able to draft Tua because Joe Burrow went first overall. And clearly, they're at a point now where the fan base and the organization, they feel like they want to move on from him. So you really don't know. And yeah, that's not to say that number 1 picks never work out. I just mentioned Joe Burrow. Like, sure, there's opportunities and there's times where the number 1 quarterback that's taken is the best of the class, but there's also almost an equal amount of drafts where the best quarterback in the class isn't the number 1 guy, So my argument is, can we just let the chips fall how they may and then worry about the draft when we get to that point?
What was Josh Allen, the fourth quarterback taken that draft? Lamar Jackson was the fifth quarterback taken that draft. Aaron Rodgers was picked with the 24th pick. Patrick Mahomes was picked at the end of the first round. If you want to get into just like playable players, maybe not franchise dream guys, but like Jordan Love, decent quarterback. They traded up in the end of the first round to get him. We have Jackson Dart looking pretty good overall this year for the Giants, up in the back of the first round to get him. A lot of examples of quarterbacks that weren't exactly the first one taken or a top 5 pick. That doesn't mean I don't want it. If I don't want not have a good pick. I like picking as high as possible, but that doesn't mean at 0-7, 7 games into the season, that I have to start rooting for my team to lose every week, show no improvement, and have nothing to build on at all. I think there's a cost to losing every week. We know that the team is not going to lose on purpose. This is all about what we're rooting for. So it's just kind of weird to root for 9 losses in a row, which means which equates to no growth from your coaching staff, no growth, and very little growth from the players. I don't know how you could root for that.
No. And NJ Lauren brings up a good quote saying, I have a big problem with tanking. It is the assumption that the first draft pick is automatic gold is problematic to say the least. The draft pick not only has to have talent, but requires good coaching. That's the thing, right? Like if the Jets really did go 0-17, and who knows, like there's still a chance they end up with the number 1 pick, Jeremy. There's still 9 games left for most of these teams. The point is it takes both. And if they did go 0-17, they lost every game. Yes, you get the number 1 pick and you get to pick your favorite quarterback first overall, but you don't feel good about this coaching staff at all. And the reality is Aaron Glenn is likely coming back next year, no matter what happens the rest of the way. So it bodes well for this team for Aaron Glenn to look like he's improving as the year goes on. And if that results in winning games, so be it.
Right. And if you look at our schedule and the ease of schedule, and you look at how early it is in the season, they could still turn it around to the point where it's like a good story of like, look, we started 0-7, we got it together, we got our first win, and we built on some momentum, and they managed to put some wins together. We like it overall, the season's not going to be good. We're not going to be happy, but didn't we know it was going to be a bad season? Even if optimistically, I was saying in the beginning of the season, 7 games would be a dream. It would be great if he came in first year, and people were saying, you're nuts, he's not going to get 7 wins. So overall, as a fan base, we knew it wasn't going to be a good year. If we could fight our way back to the 5 or 6 wins, at least it shows, look what we did in the second half of the year. And again, I don't compare our situation to Detroit. They were completely different teams, a totally different situation, but it didn't hurt that organization. The year they started off like 0-7, 0-8, and then ended up winning 7-8 games. And then when you look at what happened to that organization the following year, they are not arguing about the wins that came at the end of that season. That helped the process.
Yeah, or even in their first year. I mean, they started 0-11-1, and they finished 13-3, 13-1 that year. So they won, they were 500 over the last 6 games. And, they still ended up with a high pick. They still had a ton of draft assets, and they got better the following year. And then they've been, a playoff team 3 years running and are in a really great spot, and everyone feels really good about them. And I get it. Jet fans are frustrated. They don't want to always hear the comparisons to the Detroit Lions. And I don't think that's what we're necessarily doing here. But I just think, and it's hard because there's a 15-year playoff drought, but we need a little bit of patience and need the full evaluation of this year. Because also, too, we were talking about how we feel about the coaching staff going 0-17. How do you feel about this roster and the players if they're going 0-17? You're probably not feeling too good about the state of just the team in general at that point, too.
I mean, 0-17 means to me that Olu didn't get any better because because he's not been terrible, but he's been struggling, right? He's not what we want him to be yet. And like this win showed some hope because he played really well, right? And he's had games where he's played really well. And again, I'm not panicking on Olu because he's still within his first, I forget what it is, 15 start. Like it's not a lot of starts in his career. So it's way too early. But if we went 0-17, you'd probably scratch your head and think, unless he got injured, he probably didn't get much better because there's got to be reasons why we wouldn't be able to win a game, right? And those, unfortunately, that means the players didn't play well. And we don't want a result, like at the end of the day, looking back, where our young guys didn't play well. What hope does that give us for the future? But if we end up winning 5 or 6 games and some of these guys prove to be real solid guys, now we have something to build on.
Yeah, for Olu, he had 7 starts last year, has started all 8 games, so 15 starts in his career. He's essentially finishing up what would be a rookie season.
Right. And even though it wasn't against a great team, the game against Cincinnati. So it starts with there. He's a guy still with 15 starts going against NFL talent in a real game situation, and he's doing his job. And he's, you know what I mean? And he's improving. That's what we want. Obviously, next year will be year 3 of his career. And and he'll be over 20 games, and we're gonna raise the expectations of what we want to see from him. But I've seen enough football, and I've seen enough young offensive linemen, especially left tackles, take this exact path to then developing into, it doesn't have to be all pro. Maybe it would be nice if he makes a few pro bowls in his career, but just as long as if he's top 14 left tackle in the league, we're okay. I think because of his draft position, we'd like to see him top 10.
Yeah, and that's not where he is right now, but he's been at least a serviceable left tackle for you through his first 15 career starts. And like you said, you hope for growth. But he's not even 23 years old yet. He's still 22 years old. And there are going to be bumps in the road. He struggled against the 2 worst games he played this year was against Buffalo and Tampa Bay. Those are 2 pretty good football teams. They're going to make noise in the playoffs.
Right.
Since then, he's been good. He had a good game against Miami. He had a great game this past week. And there was another one on here that I thought was decent. And he was pretty good against Carolina too.
Pittsburgh. He was good against Pittsburgh.
And Pittsburgh in week 1. That's true. So I'm not worried about Olu. I'm really not. I think the offensive line is a strong suit of this team, and they should really think of how they can keep most of this offensive line together going into next year. That's my takeaway for that unit, at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's I mean, the offensive line is a nice thing to have if you're going to be if you're in a rebuild or a semi-rebuild or whatever you want to call it. It's nice to have that component, because if you do want to draft that quarterback, you want to draft Mendoza, you want to draft whoever it is you like, one of the key essential things to give them right up front is an offensive line, right? You don't want them terrorized. You don't want them getting sacked 8-9 times a game.
No, you don't. And I think it's going to help whoever that next quarterback is to have a strong offensive line. And there's some things that I personally like about where the Jets are right now on offense for a young quarterback. I think they have a very good wide receiver 1 in Garrett Wilson. I think they need probably 2 more wide receivers. I like Mason Taylor. I think he provides a safety blanket. The offensive line's good. We'll see what they do with Breece Hall and the rest of the running back room, but there's a world where, rookie coming in next year might have a fighting chance because of the roster and the offensive coordinator. I know it wasn't good for a couple weeks, and I get it. We're talking about just how bad Cincinnati's defense is, but there's things on tape every single week from Tanner Engstrand that he does that I like. And, he's another one who's only 8 games into his play calling career. Would I like him to stop going to those 3rd and short runs with Isaiah Davis? Yeah, I would. But I think overall, these guys are open. They put up 40 points without Garrett Wilson this week. I think there's some things to like.
I absolutely agree 100%. just somebody's not happy that we're so agreeable, Matt. They want us to.
Mo? Well, I figured Mo would come in here and be Team Tank. Viewers, well, stir it up in the comments, Mo. Get your negativity in here so we could. Everyone's been agreeing so far with us.
He cracks me up. Yeah, man. I think that we got some young players to build around, and I want to see some growth from them right now. I want to see them put together some wins, so I know that they're capable and able to win some games, right? And if you're somebody who wants to lose every game to get the quarterback and you believe that's the thing, I might disagree with you. I don't think you're a bad Jets fan. I don't think you're pathetic. I don't think you should go find another team. but I disagree.
Yeah, I've seen. Tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I feel like I've seen it more the other way. At the fans who want to lose games have been louder to the fans who were happy about the win than the other way around.
Oh, okay. I mean, but either way, it doesn't make a difference. Either way, I don't understand why people are yelling and being angry at each other. Like, why can't you just say, I disagree? I disagree. I want this, right? Than to say you're a bad fan or you're stupid or insult somebody, right? Because again, the evidence says, the evidence says if you're calling someone stupid for being happy that we won, the evidence says you're wrong. Because the top, I just named a bunch of great quarterbacks, and none of them were picked in the top three. So I mean, think of the great ones that we've seen, the ones that have been winning Super Bowls. Okay, Jalen Hurts. Okay, maybe not great, very good, right? Where was he picked? Tom Brady. Where was he picked? 6th round. Where's Mahomes picked? Like Aaron Rodgers. Like the list goes on. You don't have to have, like, it doesn't mean you don't want it. It doesn't mean that the number 1 pick wouldn't be a good idea. But like the reality is, the favorite, the one that everybody loves at quarterback, that thinks is going to be the best quarterback, more of the time isn't someone else in the field. Like one of the other 5 or 6 guys, usually one of those guys is going to end up being better than the guy that we all projected or thought was going to be the best guy. That's how it always turns out. So we just don't know. So why can we just? I just wish it would go away. Like, do we have to stop? Why do we have to keep fighting over it? Yeah, when we get down to the last 2 games, fine. I understand why the word tank is going to come up a lot, because it gets to a point of the season where it really just doesn't matter anymore. Because now they're packing it in. Maybe you're evaluating young players and you're taking out and using your backups, whatever. But man, it's like we're 0-7 and we're already having to have people yell and attack other people about what kind of fans they are because they're happy we won a football game.
Yeah, it's all a bit much for me. We got a super chat. Want to thank our guy Thomas, sends one in, says this isn't last year's draft. 4 good quarterbacks win now. I feel pretty good about the top 3 guys, I would say, with Ty Simpson, Dante Moore, and Fernando Mendoza. I guess it depends on who you think the 4th is, whether it's John Mateer. Some people like Garrett Nussmeier. I'm not really a big Garrett Nussmeier guy personally.
Like Drew Aller.
Yeah, yeah. There are people, not naming any names, but there are definitely people that still like Drew Aller. Yeah, and look,
but even in this example, and thank you for the super chat, Thomas Sandler. We'll go to the Matt O'Leary wedding account. It's
coming up, man. I got payments galore coming up in the next couple of weeks. So thank you, Thomas.
Even in this example, who's the best quarterback so far out of last year's draft? It's not Cam Ward.
No, yeah.
You were better off with the 20th pick. And, we talked about it. A lot of Jet fans trade back that number 7 to number 20 and take Jackson Dart, right? And the Giants traded up in the back of the 1st round. So, Tennessee could have had Jackson Dart, right? They could have traded back 10 to 11 spots and had 2 extra 1st round picks for the next 2 years, right? So right now, it's certainly, Dylan Gabriel in Cleveland is looking better than Cam Ward.
Yeah.
So if that's the evidence right there, you don't know that the number 1 pick, we have a fan, a watcher of this show who wanted us to trade 3 years of 1st round picks to trade up to get Cam Ward. So you can't sit there and, we don't know.
No.
Like, it's just a crapshoot.
It is. Or ask, going back 2 years, but ask Chicago how they'd feel about Drake May or Jaden Daniels right now over Caleb Williams.
Right.
And those were quarterback 2 and 3 taken off the board.
Yeah.
So you do never know.
So much evidence that we've got to get off this thing to think the only way to get your franchise quarterback is to take him with the 1st pick.
J Boy sends in a super chat. He is on the positive side. He says, "Win out, baby. 10-7. Jets, Jets." Listen, I'm not ready to hop on the 10-7 bandwagon. But I'll tell you one thing: it wouldn't make me mad. I'd be happy. It starts, Jeremy. Like before we can even go to 10-7.
Can we say I wouldn't be mad? I'd be happy. What Jet fan wouldn't be happy? Like, if we ran the table and went 10-7, can you imagine there still being a Jet fan saying this is a waste if we don't win the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
We should go.
We should be going for the pick. This is smoke and mirrors from Justin Fields. The whole I could see it already, by the way. That's why I said I would be happy. I wanted to clarify, Jeremy. But let's start. To me, it starts this week with the Cleveland game, or after the bye with the Cleveland game. You're at home against, yes, a team that has a very, very good defense. Cleveland's defense is nasty. Myles Garrett's an unbelievable player. Their offense stinks. Dylan Gabriel's horrible. Can you take care of business at home and make it 2 in a row? That's a good test coming out of the bye. Robert Saleh, Jets, horrible out of the bye. Then you're on a short week against New England on the road. How do you look in that game? Like there's many more check boxes left on this year, which again kind of brings me back to our original point here, coming full circle, talking about the tank. I couldn't get there in October because there's still so many things that I wanted to see, good or bad, happen, just so we have some more information on this roster and the coaching staff.
Yeah, and the thing about Cleveland, yes, the defense is very good, but with Cincinnati, the offense thought we were going to put up 48 points against us, right? So again, a team is always beatable if they have a glaring weakness.
Oh, we have a breaking news on a trade, Jeremy.
For the Jets?
For the New York Jets.
I love that this happens when we're live.
Oh, we got to pull it up. Where's the sounder? Do we have the sounder? I think I got
Change the title of the video. We're hemorrhaging viewers.
We're hemorrhaging viewers. We got to do the breaking news.
Extend the show. We got to go till 2.
Breaking news.
Okay. Breaking news. The New York Jets have made a trade. I'm pulling it up right now. The Eagles are trading for Jets versatile quarterback Michael Carter II to fill a need with wide receiver John Mechie III heading to New York in the deal. In all, Philly gets Carter and a 2027 seventh. The New York Jets get John Mechie and a 2027 sixth.
I'd do it for the 6th. I would do it for the 6th. I would do a swap of 7 to 6. I would have given you Michael Carter now that we have Brownlee. All right, I'll take that.
Yeah, so you get it.
I love the prospect, Mechie. I want to let everybody know. For people who don't know, he got messed up out of the draft because he had an ACL. But he was, I believe it was Alabama.
He was yes, you're right. Yep, yeah, Alabama.
Excellent wide receiver. I loved him as a prospect. He was a guy who could have been a first-round pick, but he tore his ACL. I don't know why maybe I don't know if he ever got an opportunity or what slowed it down, but I think it's an interesting kind of I don't know, project kind of player. You know, like I loved him out of college. If he can ever get that back, I don't know. But the fact that we swapped the 7 for the 6th, we automatically got the 6th round pick. Like I would have done it straight up
for the 6th.
For the swap of picks for the 6th round pick. I would have done that straight up. So Mechie is just a bonus of if we could develop him, if get him healthy, we'll see what he can be for us.
Yeah, look, you're taking a flyer on a guy that was taken pretty high in the draft a couple years ago. Injuries.
He also had leukemia, so I'm reading.
Yeah. And a nice potential nice comeback story. Look, the Jets are weak at wide receiver. They found Jarvis Brownlee. I think this could be a win-win for both sides. And for Philly, like, I know Michael Carter hasn't looked good this year, but that's a veteran who can play a role for you. I don't mind this move at all for the Jets. I really don't.
Yeah, not at all. Look, that explains what happened. Like, because I thought he'd come back from the ACL and be ready to go, and then now I'm starting to remember. Oh yeah, I remember thinking, what a freaking ridiculous bad luck this guy has. He's coming back from an ACL and then he gets leukemia. But we saw Roman Reigns, the wrestler. That's the only guy I know that has the form of leukemia that he could recover, and he came back 100%. So I'm just throwing that out there. maybe there's a hope that he could fully recover. Maybe that's what's been holding him back. He was a fantastic prospect, like really a fantastic prospect. So if he could be completely healthy and he completely overcame leukemia, we'll see what he could be. I mean, we don't need him to be a star. We're not. It's not saying I'm not sitting there saying we need him to be a WR1. What if he can have a role and just help this wide receiver room?
And if not, so what? Okay, you move on. Right, he's on his rookie deal. If you cut him after the season, I'm sure it's not going to be crazy costly. He has another year of control also. This is year 3 for him in Philly. He hasn't played really at all. Four catches, 18 yards on the season. Win-win. They're weak. They're weak at this position. They were strong at nickel corner after the addition of Jarvis Brownlee. They get out of the Michael Carter contract too, which is a big deal. They're going to free up $10 million if they cut him. Like you said, I would have done it just for the pick swap. But when you throw in a wide receiver, who knows? You're taking a chance. Going back to the evaluation, let's see what he looks like the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, and again, there's no way to lose for because I think that most Jets fandom would agree we didn't expect to get anything from Michael Carter worth anything anyway. Like if the Jets gave up a 7th, got a 6th round pick, and gave Michael Carter away, I think everybody would say, okay, I guess that was the best we can get for him. Because he's been injured the last 2 years and not playing well. And like, why would we expect anybody to pay a high price for him? So I think this is just great news for us, because if Mechie gives us anything, that's just bonus. But we needed our 6th round pick. We gave a couple away and swapped to get Briggs and to get Phillips, and we need picks. 6th round is not amazing, but sometimes you could take a 6th with another 6th or a 5th, and you can move up into the 4th round. There are things you could do. It's definitely it's like draft day money.
Yeah, it gives you a better shot. And it feels like they have a ton of 6th rounders. I'm sure we could look at some point at what their draft capital looks like after this trade, but you can get creative on draft day and try to move up. You could trade those picks for already established NFL players. There's a lot that you could do.
Let's also think about what it means, Matt, for Moogs and what the Jets are doing right now, because now we have the question answered that we are trying. Maybe this is an indicator of what's to come before the trade line, that we are looking to some people thought we might do nothing, and we're predicting nothing. This might say that Moogs is on the phone. He's wheeling, he's dealing, and who are the other players like Michael Carter he's willing to part with?
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be busy next week. The trade deadline is next Tuesday, so just less than a week. A couple super chats I want to pull up from Jonathan Lee. Says, hey, Matt, thanks for the shout out on the People Guest a couple weeks ago. You're welcome. That was a lot of fun. Be on the lookout. We'll do more People Guest games as the season goes on. Ty Simpson looked good at the game I went to last Saturday. Sellers, not so much. Hope we keep Brees. Rest in peace, Nick Mangold. Go Jets. And then he also chimes in, says, also looking forward to my 74 hat. I am on my website on MattO'LearyNY.com. I am selling Nick Mangold Forever shirts. And the all net proceeds are going to the National Kidney Foundation. And so far, I'm just pulling it up right now, we have raised just over $5,100 for the National Kidney Foundation. So thank you for supporting that, Jonathan. And to go back to this other chat here for a moment too, I'm kind of in the keep Brees Hall train also. And Sellers, I think, would be better off going to school. Ty Simpson's going to end up being a high draft pick. Well, what are your thoughts on this comment from Jonathan?
Yeah, Sellers needs to go back to school. He's not. There's a lot lacking there. I am tired. I'm not a big fan of. I'm not gonna, just because someone's really mobile and a great athlete. Like, I have to see you be able to drop back into a pocket and progress and make a throw. Like, I have to see you do that. Simpson, I think, looks good. It's not even a criticism of him. I have no criticism of Simpson except for the fact that I'd like to see him play more games, more reps, more games, more situations. He hasn't played a lot of football. There's not a lot of games under his belt. And that's not a critique on him. That's not his fault at all. And
No.
it doesn't stop the fact that he might end up being a great NFL quarterback. I'm just saying is if we're gonna use a top pick on somebody, you want to have as much film on somebody as possible. So it makes me a little uneasy, but we do have some games left and we have the playoff coming. So watch, I think that the real key thing with Simpson is going to be to watch him in the playoff. And if he against other top teams in the playoff plays well and is able to throw into tight coverage and do all those things, he's going to rise on the board and he's going to be really exciting. Right now, for me, it's Mendoza because there's a lot more film on Mendoza. He's done it for 2 different teams. I've seen him do it against better competition, like teams that are better than his team. I've seen him throw into NFL open receivers, not college open receivers, which means half a step, not 2 steps. So he's passing all my tests. So for me, Mendoza's there.
You're back. Mendoza's there.
And Simpson is on his way. I need to see more. I repeated exactly what I said.
You're cracking me up. Oh, it's been fun. They're giving you a hard time in the chat too, but it's great.
I don't know what's going on. I don't understand it. I haven't had an internet problem in a long time. So
could be my end also. The one thought before we get back to the chat on the quarterback ranking, I agree with you with having Mendoza number 1. The argument that I'd give, and it doesn't sound like you're out on Ty Simpson or anything, and I agree that the playoff is going to be really important. What I'm looking forward to the rest of the way, he plays in the SEC, so he's playing against good teams every week and playing some pretty good defenses just about every week. And then on top of that, Alabama is going to be a team that's in the college football playoff. So I think it'll be a really big test, and he could, he has a lot to prove and can do it with the remaining games that they have.
Yeah, I just want to see him do it. I just want to see him do like things that aren't just like more than just RPO type plays too. I'm looking for the type of plays that he runs.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, Tyler wants to know our thoughts on this trade. We've talked about it a little bit. Just wanted to go into the super chat, but
we're happy.
We're happy. Yeah, we are happy about it. I think, you got good value back for Michael Carter, who hasn't looked like the same guy the last 2 years. Unfortunately, I think injuries played a big factor in this, Jeremy. And you're taking a swing on a wide receiver that has upside. The Jets wide receiver room isn't really good right now anyway. And, Garrett Wilson, I think, comes back out of the bye, but Josh Reynolds went to IR, so he's going to be out a few weeks. They want to see what this kid has, and I don't blame him for taking that swing.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Eagles are playing for like another Super Bowl, right? I mean, they're trying to clinch their division or whatever. It's hard to experiment. We have the leeway to allow a guy like Mechie to play, see what he is.
They do. Yeah. Well, the Eagles don't, right? They're going for a Super Bowl.
Right. You can't mess around. If you're the Eagles, you can't mess around, unless you have to, gun to your head because guys are hurt. But with us, we can actually put Mechie in there because what have we got to lose? We're putting, who are we putting him in there instead?
Oh, no.
What's that?
Oh, you're back. You're back. You were saying you put him in a spot to see him?
Assuming? Yeah, you have to fill in for me.
Yeah, I was trying to piece it together.
I feel like I'm calling him from Vietnam. That's right. You're putting him in a spot where you can see him play a little bit.
Oh, that's so good. So good. All right, we're going to get back into more of our conversation here about the trade deadline. Got to give a shout out to the sponsor of the channel. The sponsor of the stream is Sleeper. Think you know football? Then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day to payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players. With more stats than any other daily fantasy app, just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live during the game. Pick more or less from their predicted stat lines, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use my promo code O'Leary, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. They also have a new offer going on right now where you get $20 with no deposit required. Terms and conditions apply.
Use O'Leary, nothing else. No other name that you know. O'Leary. No color. Like a color, green, blue, nothing like that. O'Leary is the promotion code to use.
Thank you, Jeremy. Look at this, pushing this over the top. I love First State Jets is trying to go for a ban. We traded for Patrick Mahomes. You're gonna get a 5-minute timeout for that.
What does that even mean? We traded for Patrick Mahomes.
He's in here trolling, and I know he's obviously not serious, but you get 5-minute timeouts for fake news in the chat.
What does Jake Asma call it?
The Shadow Realm, the dungeon.
Yeah.
So we were mistaken, by the way. The pick swap was in 2027, so it's not this year's draft. It's the following year's draft.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't matter. It's still a win.
It's still gonna. Well, we're gonna be when that draft comes. We'll be just as happy at that draft. You know,
it doesn't change my feeling on it being 2 years ahead instead of just this year's.
I mean, it's a 2-year rebuild anyway. So
100%.
We're not building a championship team in one draft.
No, certainly not. Jeremy, this is a little bit off topic, but I wanted to ask you this before we close the show. Did you see the clip of Jordan Travis speaking about what Woody Johnson said to him this week?
I did not.
Okay, so this is on the heels of the Justin Fields conversation where he kind of threw Justin Fields, not kind of, very much so, threw Justin Fields under the bus. And Jordan Travis was asked about it on his podcast, and he shared something I would argue even worse that Woody Johnson said to him. So let's take a listen and close the show this way.
What Woody Johnson did.
Wait, hold on. It would help if I had the audio being sent to you, Jeremy. Please hold. Okay. You should be able to hear it now.
Woody Johnson did, like with Justin Fields, like, be better, bro. Speaking about your players publicly like that, you want to talk about losing a locker room? Like, no head coach can fix that.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, that guy, no disrespect, but there was things that were said to me, not obviously to that point because I never got on the field to play, but about my leg, like just slick comments that I don't know if he was trying to be slick about it, or you know how some older people, they just kind of say whatever comes to their mind. And it kind of made me feel a certain type of way. I told you about a few of them. Are you ever going to get healthy? And I'm just like, damn, not how you feel, and never that. There was always like comments like that, and that kind of upset me, but kind of rolled over my head. It makes sense, but I mean, kudos to Justin Fields, because I don't know if you saw his press conference, and you can see on his face he's not even distraught, bro. It's really cool. It inspired me. I freaking reposted it on my Instagram. Now it's his chance. He's getting attention. God still has his hand on him the whole time. Man.
Amen. But Woody Johnson,
you ever going to get healthy?
Wow. What a class.
I mean, come on, dude. The guy, he had one of the most gruesome leg injuries we've seen. The Jets still take a flyer on him. And Woody Johnson for a year and a half is going, hey, you ever going to get healthy or what? We're going to see you on the field? I can't believe that. Jeremy's so distraught he can't even speak.
It's such. Oh, am I back yet though?
Yeah, I hear you now. Yeah.
He's such a low life. I want to get that in before I freeze. He's a low life. Woody Johnson is a low life.
Yeah, that was a comment that I saw floating around, or he shared that video and came across my feed, and I figured I get Jeremy's take on it. See how we're feeling about Woody Johnson, who's been in the news this week with his comments about Justin Fields, and now apparently that's not anything new, right? Like this is something that seems pretty regular. He also told Mike White that he sucked after he played in a game with broken ribs. So,
yeah, I mean, he's the most unpopular person on like I think in Jets fandom. I think, I mean, you could argue Adam Gase, Rich Kotite. I mean, but Woody's up there.
It's bad. It's really bad. It's hard to have success as a franchise when that's how your owner talks. But anyway, just wanted to toss that one in there.
Yeah, they picked him. Right, day 3 pick, and now you're gonna ask him like, "Are you ever gonna get healthy?" Like, what a low life.
Yeah, a 6th rounder again. Who the guy was hurt. Like you had to know what you were getting into at the time, which is just anyway. I don't think it's a valid question. Just the guy says, I mean, it's a valid question. Not really.
Oh, he's being silly. Come on, it's a valid question.
Come on,
it's an inhuman question.
Yeah, it is an inhuman question. Not, hey, how's the rehab going? Are you ever going to get healthy? It's an implication, man. That's
Like it's his choice. Like it's his choice.
Right. No, exactly. I'm sure he wants to play. He never played a snap in the NFL. He had to medically retire. Like,
Sad.
and he says that he could, oh yeah, I'm relatable to the players. That's another thing that he said this week.
Telling Mike White that he sucked was like the final. Like that's when I knew, man. I wish he gets caught doing something and the NFL just forces him to sell the team. They need to sneak and get all his emails, or we need to find something on this guy and just get him out of our lives.
Pablo Torre, please do an investigation on Woody Johnson. That's your next assignment here. All right, Jeremy, we're just about at the end. So we saw one trade go down today. My question for you at the end of the show, by the next time we speak, will any other Jets get traded? And if so, who?
Man, I think that there's going to be, I think the answer is yes. I'm not sure who. I don't think it's going to be a major player. I think it might be like Alan Lazard.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say yes, and that it's Quincy Williams is the other Jet that is traded.
Yeah, that's a reasonable one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to end up saying that I think Breece Hall stays. I don't think Breece Hall gets traded, and I don't think any of the big names like Quinnen Williams, Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, any of those guys, I don't see getting dealt.
I think Jermaine Johnson is humorous to me. Even the suggestion of it.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, we just reached the end of the show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for another week. We got some Michael Carter news at about a little over the halfway point. So we'll redo the thumbnail and rename the stream after. But thanks for hanging out for another episode. We'll be back next week talking about the trade deadline, what else has happened. But for now, leave a like before you go. Hit subscribe if you're new, and we'll catch you next time.